What's good, y'all? It's once again time to answer the age-old question: should you summon, or should you better stay the hell away from this banner? Now, why do I do this video today? Because we now know that we also have an ancient banner on Saturday. But besides that, let's get straight into the banners and have a look. So, first off, special divine summoning 10x raids, boosted Hattsut and Artemis. Artemis, obviously not a unit we had on global before, and also someone that has been talked about quite a lot. But let's just start with the unimportant part, the epics, alright? So Scorch is alright, but at the end of the day he's pretty mid. The only redeeming talent is the fact that he does magic damage and has 2 range, so you can technically place him behind a tank, but in most scenarios you're not really going to make use of it, and even if you make use of it, his damage isn't anything special. Then Azoth. Azoth is pretty much, yeah, he's kind of like that rare demon, but even not. So he's single target damage, but he doesn't do a lot of damage. So it's kind of weird. It's again the same conundrum of single target mages just being bad. It's like, for example, Nocturne. You don't really find a place for Nocturne in most content besides maybe just raw boss killing, but single target magic damage, unless it's someone OP like Hex or someone crazy like Kratos, doesn't really have a place. And that's also kind of Azoth for you. He doesn't really have a place anywhere in this game. So maybe basic faction try, but even that you don't need an Azoth for. And then we have Oleg. Oleg the GOAT, but also you get Oleg from Void Rift. You only need 1 copy. You're going to give him his A1 through a Soul Stone, and then you're legit done. So the epics are in no shape or form a good reason to pull on this banner, which means we need the redeeming qualities of the legendaries. But big disclaimer, 10x banners aren't your friend. It is starting to, like, people are starting to forget about the fact that 10x banners aren't good. Like, for example, we had the Silas Rihanna 10x, we had the Lust Arrogance 10x, and people are getting hyped, but don't forget, 10x banners aren't your friend. The odds that you need to go to 200 to get a single hero on a 10x banner are, obviously, twice as high in comparison to a 2x banner. And the big part here is, it says 10 times event, and what it really does is, it increases the rates to 10 times of what a normal legendary would be if you just divided a number by the number of legendaries. But enough of the numbers, it is very simple. You're going to get around the 18.6% rate on Hattsut and around the 19.1% rate on Artemis, so it's pretty much going to be a 40 to 60 that you actually get one of the boosted legendaries, which is quite nice, and also probably the best banner to try to pick up specific heroes, and that is what a 10x is. If you're just looking for specific heroes, if your account is still in the state where you're just starting out, where you're still just looking for legendaries to boost your account, this banner probably isn't the way to go for you, because what you really at that point still want to do is just go in and get more legendaries. Quantity over quality. Because legendaries, be they good or mid or bad, still have a big impact on your account, instead of going into this banner, doing 200 summons, just getting 1 legendary, and then that 1 legendary doesn't even happen to be one of the boosted. So please be mindful of the fact that if you summon here, no one says you're guaranteed a legendary, no one says you're guaranteed to get one of the boosted heroes. It's just increased odds at 0.5% legend rate. Keep that in mind, 0.5% chance to even get a legendary. So as long as you're not getting to pity, as long as you only have a measly amount of summons, do them. If you don't get them, okay, you're building your pity meter, but don't be disappointed if you're ending up with nothing. But enough of this rambling and the dangers on a 10x banner. Let's have a look at the heroes, talk a bit about what they do, how good they are, and why this banner obviously is a good 10x. That's just for 10x's, that is. So, Hattsut. Hattsut is pretty much one of the strongest heroes in the entire game. not because she's particularly super strong and just broken, but because she works everywhere really. So you're going to find her in GVG. You can technically use her in Guild Pass 2 Success. You can use her in Gear Rate 1, you can use her in Gear Rate 2, you can use her in Gear Rate 3, even highly recommended in Gear Rate 3 and Gear Rate 2. You can use her in Void, you can use her in Campaign, you can use her in Arena. In Arena she's really broken. And that's about what Hattsut is. She's an all-rounder you can use everywhere. And one of the most important factors to why she is able to be used everywhere is this Soul Torment right here. So her basic attack jumps between targets, which leads us to the main point about a Hattsut. If you're using a Hattsut, you need her to hit more than one target, because if there is only one target, it's not going to bounce. And if her basic attack doesn't bounce, it doesn't inflict a defense reduction. Now you see already it is a 10% defense reduction, but that's at level 0 or level 1. At level 5 you get a 30% defense reduction, which is the highest in the entire game and absolutely ridiculous. This is one of the reasons why Hattsut is so strong in GVG, because it just turns the defense of the incoming demon soldiers into nothing. And yeah, so keep in mind you do want it to be more than one target. Then we have her passive, which gives her invisibility. So you place her down and she's going to go invisible for between 20 up to 40 seconds upgraded. And that's just a great way to place her in certain stages where she would get killed if the enemy saw her. For example, let's say stage 1 of that new rotation where we have those mages that heal themselves and then just one-shot your units. If they can't see Hattsut, they can't kill her, and then you can activate her ultimate. And what does the ultimate do? Her ultimate does a crap ton of damage. So let's have a look at the multipliers first. So it deals damage to up to 5 enemies nearby, dealing 180% damage every 0.3 seconds, lasting for 3 seconds, which already means you're going to be dealing at least 1800% AoE damage throughout those 3 seconds. Then, just to kind of drive home the point of how ridiculous this damage actually is, let's have a look at the fully upgraded Ghastly Burst, which is 230% damage every 0.3 seconds, lasting for 4 seconds. So that gives us at least 13 times 230%, which comes out to around close to 3000% AoE damage. And that is obviously if all those enemies stay in range, but you should be able to manage that, and that's ridiculous. Almost 3000% AoE damage is at the end of the day really ridiculous. But so for example, if you're really looking for ways to progress in Gear Rate 3, if you're having a fully skilled Hattsut, it is very easy for an Hattsut to completely just one-shot the right side, which also kind of shows, especially now that we've talked about the difference between level 0 or level 1 and level 5, you almost double the damage she does with her ult, and also you have that defense reduction right there. So if you're still struggling with Gear Rate 3 and you have the gems you wanna spend, or you have something saved up from past lust, whatever, and you get yourself your hands on Hattsut, she is going to be really good for Gear Rate 3. And especially if you do get her and if you're disappointed with her, don't forget you do need to invest some skill crystals to make her really work. Now on to the unknown, the new guy. Who the hell is he and why the hell is everyone talking about him? Reason number 1 why everyone is talking about him is that we're supposed to get a Gear Rate 4. It's technically called Gear Dungeon, but everybody calls it Gear Rate 4. And for the moment, it seems like content where you, at least for this first ever piece of rotation we've seen from it, need anti-heal. What does Artemis do? He applies anti-heal, which already makes him an asset, because besides Artemis, you only really have the Seer, Boreas and Demi. Demi being an ancient lord, so unrealistic. Boreas being broken as hell anyway and might even get a nerf, who knows. And then the Seer, who's pretty much just good for his anti-heal really. But what else does he do? He's a healer. He's a healer and he deals magic damage. Alright, let's have a look at his talent. So his talent states that when he heals allies applied with blood craving, he restores 2% rage. What is blood craving? Increases the healing received from Artemis's basic attack by 30%. So he straight up increases the healing received by 30% through his own multipliers. And that's just his talent. Now we have the weapon. or the basic attack weapon, because he has a legit fucking gun. So it grants attack based healing to one ally in range, so no AoE heal, just straight up one ally. Then we have the passive. During the ultimate, heals up to 3 allies around the target with a 100% healing multiplier upon hit. Basic attack prioritizes enemy targets during the ultimate unless there are only allies in range. So he's going to shoot enemies, and around those enemies he's going to heal the closest ally with an AoE heal. And then we have right here Sanguine Tonic, periodically locks onto allies excluding the hero and throws Sanguine Tonic on them. When hitting a target, applies Blood Craving to nearby allies and heals them with a 120% healing multiplier. So that is his way of gaining extra rage regen every 30 seconds or 20 seconds if you skill it up through Sanguine Tonic. And then right here we have the Crimson Reaper. During the ultimate, locks onto enemies, deals 180% AoE damage to up to 8 enemies with each attack and inflicting anti-heal on them. Now it goes on for around 20 seconds if you max skill it, and gives you 200% damage. And you can kind of see there's no limits. There's no real limit to the number of attacks he does, and that is because it's based on his attack speed. So the faster you make him, the more attacks he's going to shoot in his ultimate. We already have this little gameplay clip of what he actually does right here. Now you might be wondering, okay, still, why the hell is he so good? And that is because of utility. He's not only going to be a healer, which obviously takes up one slot in your team building, but he also brings damage to the table. So for example, for Gear Rate 1, you're mainly locked down with running around 2 damage dealers, 2 healers, 1 supporter, and then whatever else you wish for. Supporter in this case being Dolores and maybe Laurel. But in general, you really are going to need a healer for most stages, and that kind of locks you out of doing damage already. But he's a hybrid. You can use him as a healer, but he can also do damage. It's utility that he brings that isn't like utility, for example, like a Hollow or Elowen. Hollow and Elowen are so strong because they have rage regen, and that rage regen you can use to then use the ultimates of your damage dealers more often. And here you got a bona fide rage damage dealer instead of a rage regen hero right here. So that is the main point. He makes team building way easier, and he brings value outside of him just healing. And then obviously the last part is just straight up anti-heal. Anti-heal is rare, anti-heal is strong, and that's what the developer decided to implement even more. So now we have anti-heal needed for Gear Rate 1, potential Gear Rate 4, and anti-heal is just really strong in Void Rift Phase 1. The Shadowkeeper phase, right? The one that looks like Selene, if you know who Selene is. So now that we've talked about all the interesting heroes, let's just give the Ancient Summoning a quick look over. Ancient Summons, if you have Ancient Summons and you're not looking for anything specific, you want to just flip a coin, roll the dice, go for it, but I don't recommend it. Do it like pretty much everyone else that is saving up Ancients is doing, and that is wait for Volderon. Volderon is broken, Volderon is strong, Volderon looks awesome, and he is going to come to the game probably within the next month. So yeah, Volderon, hold out for Volderon. And on the note of holding out, should we hold out on our summons? Because there's some super crazy hero on the horizon, someone that's going to revolutionize the game like Magmus, Trask, Magda, more even, Ares? The answer is sadly no. At least on Forerunners, unless we consider them buffing someone like crazy, there is no one to aim for. So it isn't a bad idea to summon here, because it's not like you're going to miss out on some super strong hero that is on Forerunners already that we know about, that is then going to come to Global, because there isn't anyone that is super revolutionary. And out of all the heroes that are still left, Artemis is probably still one of the stronger and also one of the most unique when it comes to the utility he brings to your kit. So important to note is you can summon, you don't really need to worry, but never forget 10x's are dangerous, 10x's are resource monsters, and there is no guarantee you actually get something useful. So on that note, has been a pleasure. We see each other in the next one. If you want to leave a like, subscribe, consider commenting, and I wish you best of luck if you do decide to summon.